as far as I know, if they are electric cars, they can have a software update and become autonomous. That transition can impact 280,000 drivers. On today's show, we're going to talk about Tesla's latest announcement, the review of the Tesla's robotaxi during the much anticipated We Robot event that happened a few weeks ago. I'm Daniel,
Matheus.
and this is the Human AI Experience. So there was a lot of excitement in a couple of weeks ago with this Tesla event called We Robot, which is a total ripoff of that film I Robot with Will Smith. And the event happened last October 10th. And yeah, Elon Musk knows how to put up a show, but it was a show. I have my reservations in regards to the content, but like we can talk about that. So just to give a bit of a context in the what happened, basically the event introduced the Cybercab, which is basically Tesla's flagship robo-taxi or like autonomous driving taxi proposal that is expected to be produced in 2026 with a price tag of under $30,000. Like, so they show basically the robotax coming and taking Elon Musk from one place to the other to the stage, and then there was also a lot of the robots, the Tesla robots, but we can talk about that later on. But what are your thoughts? What have you seen in regards to the event?
Yeah, actually, it was a pretty much good show in terms of like showing up all the technology. So I saw the robots, like which should be autonomous, but as you mentioned, they are not totally autonomous. And the cars are really interesting, like the design and everything. But it's I like as Twitter showed the similarities to iRobot movie. So it was pretty much interesting to see how the movies are predicting the future or predicting the present now.
Yeah, like they say, life imitates art. Yeah, so it was a it was quite a show, but it didn't resonate with everybody. So Tesla has a history of delaying their self-driving technology, for example. And so people were wondering that are those just bold claims that Elon Musk usually do? Because they didn't back up, they didn't have any details. You know, he just said 2026,
Yeah.
and the a price which is a ballpark number that maybe it's not gonna pay off. And there's a lot of history to back that thing, right? So investors weren't exactly impressed. I think the biggest part of the biggest concern is that the Tesla's full self-driving software right now requires human oversight, which basically makes Musk's promises of fully autonomous vehicles a bit premature, let's say. And then regulation are very cautious, and some remain very skeptical about the idea of unsupervised vehicles hitting the streets anytime soon on a wide scale, right? Because there are some examples of other companies, for example, Waymo, which was previously Google's self-driving car project. They offer already autonomous driving in a few states in the US, and then they carry people without a driver. So it's already out there. I didn't know. I thought Tesla was supposed to be leading this initiative, but apparently, they couldn't. So investors weren't exactly impressed. In fact, Tesla stocks basically dropped 8% after the event, which is apparently 60 billion in market cap. So a big part of the concern is that Tesla's full self-driving software, right now, it still requires like a human. So then people are a little bit skeptical on, Musk's promises, right? and there's a lot of regulation on top of it, and they are very skeptical that this is not ready to hit the streets anytime soon. So people were hoping that they would actually see cybercabs in action, and but there was no plan on how Tesla wants to deal with regulatory issues, right? So then the fact that there's not a timeline and not a plan, I mean, it might happen in 2 years, but it might not.
Yeah, and I feel that it's a bit controversial. This kind of autonomous cars, isn't it? Like, there's many accidents that happen, like with Teslas and other. But at the same time, I don't know if it was planned or not. But last week, uh, someone felt on the street, and then a Tesla car was coming, and then he needed to take action, and also he actually hit a car instead of like passing through the person. So this really happened, and the timing might be like the right timing to advocate towards the autonomous cars, because of this accident. Let's say.
I know there's a lot of lawsuits on top of Tesla about self-driving because there has been pretty serious accidents, and they claim that you always need a driver, right? That they shouldn't Tesla cars, even though it seems like they shouldn't be driving by themselves. So yeah, this is basically one of the controversial part, but I think we should talk about the robots because I think those were, I think it's called Optimus. So the Tesla robots, it's called Optimus, and were there was a bunch of them in the event, interacting with the attendees by walking, dancing. There was one even serving drinks using a cowboy hat or something. So it was quite interesting to see, like, and you know, I was impressed in the beginning because, wow,
Yeah,
those robots are actually really doing this.
that was the scariest part. To be honest. Like, when I saw the a lot of robots doing normal stuff and doing the things that we should do, like our people would do. That was a bit scary. I was when I saw that, I was like, okay, we are heading towards Terminator movies, because everything started like that. And then I was thinking that we are passing through some weird lines, and um, but what was impressive. So in other terms, like, I felt like that was technology, and then that was the beginning of a revolution. If we have autonomous robots like that will really help you to clean the house and serve and take stuff for you. That's pretty much impressive, if it works like that in 2026.
I think we're far away from that. Like, so I was quite impressed in the event. I was just like, really, okay, is this really happening? Is this true? So Marks Brownlee, the famous YouTuber, was there in the event, and he tweeted or X'd that he tweeted like a photo of the robot or a video of the robot, and then he tweeted like this: playing charades with the Tesla Optimus robot last night. This is either the single greatest robotics and large language model demo the world has ever seen, or it's mostly remoted, operated by a human. No in between. So basically, yes. And he was kind of right because there was a lot of reports that they were not fully autonomous. They were basically being operated with humans in the backstage. So, which is a bit of a
Yeah.
bummer, right? Because it's just then, how would you know? How would you measure the advances of this kind of robotics and this technology if you're basically faking everything, right? And this is not just Tesla doing it. There was a lot of fake demos across uh, these years with AI. Like OpenAI faked some demos with the I think was the voice, the ChatGPT voice. So I mean, it's hard to trust if that these companies are actually showcasing a product that
Yeah.
is ready for market.
Yeah, I feel that they do that just to sell it, so they can sell it like pre-sales or even to get funding from investors. So they kind of fake it, these things. This practice has been done by many years. And as we talked, like Steve Jobs did that many times. The first time was when he sold like 1,000 computers, I think, and he even he hadn't nothing, literally nothing. He was just like guessing or being bold of selling and trying to deliver. And the same it happened with the first iPhone, wasn't it? Like where you mentioned to me, like it was he was kind of lucky that everything worked out.
Yeah, in the launch of the iPhone, the software wasn't 100% ready. And this was, I think it would be launched like 6 months after, but then they wanted to showcase like the software working in real time. So they did like a fake demo as well. And as far as I recall, and they were lucky that nothing broke or things actually worked smoothly. And then they, of course, then they perfected and polished the software until the end. But the core was there, right? Not that he didn't have anything.
Yeah,
Um,
wasn't someone controlling a robot remotely.
yeah, right. So
Yeah,
it's very different, but but at the same time, yeah. I mean,
yeah, it's a bit controversial. Like I totally understand it, and it especially if you're selling something that is not it's not like that. Like it's not as a software that needs some improvement. It's just like someone fully controlling something remotely. So it means that there's nothing actually. It's just a robot that can be controlled remotely. Okay, you already have this technology before, so what is new in this stuff? So that's the question, I think.
I think also nobody's talking about regulation for this kind of robot as a product or having a robot like that in your home, right? How does that how does that work? I mean, are you
Yeah,
can do you have like a saved trigger that can stop that robot if something is happening? So we need to think about all of these things. So that's why I think this technology, even though seems quite interesting, it doesn't. I think
the thing
we're
is that
years ahead of that coming out.
it always comes to my mind like uh, these robots, they have cameras, like they talk to you, so they have microphones and everything. What about all this information? Where is it just being used by the robot, or is it being sending out to Tesla headquarters? So it's always a question for me, like is it safe, like from GDPR? Like, are we having problems with that? Like is it people safe at their homes, in terms of privacy, and not in terms of the robot getting crazy, but in terms of, is it someone spying me, like looking at me, like when I'm doing my things at home? So for me, it's a bit concerning. And at the same time, like there was a release from some hackers. They wrecked the robots that clean the house, the cleaning robots,
Yeah,
and they could like chase the dogs, and they were doing some stuff. So if you can do that with these small robots, what can a hacker do with a real robot that can? So that's some concerns that we need to think about when we put these machines at home.
yeah, definitely. Especially because they also use cameras to evaluate the environment and know, to understand what things around. So what happens with that footage, right? Is it recorded somewhere? Is going to a server
Yeah.
somewhere? It's yeah. There's so many issues and so many questions to be answered, and so that I really think that this is going to take some time to actually be commercially viable or safe enough to for you to have one at home, for example.
And I feel that for in Europe, the regulations are more strict. So you can see like a lot of tools, for example, from Google, they're not released in Europe anymore because of the GDPR. And I feel that in Europe, there are more barriers in terms of privacy and other terms. So I feel that Europe is ahead of the US, in terms of just releasing stuff, and then you can. So I feel that he's gonna face a lot of regulations to implement that in the world, like in general.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so just going back a bit into the whole self-driving thing. So there's a lot of also competition for Tesla, right? There are actually other companies focusing on autonomous driving for years, and they basically are leading this movement. So there's Waymo, there's Cruise. Waymo used to be the Google self-driving product project. So when the Tesla stock dropped during this event, companies like Uber and Lyft saw their like shares rise in price.
So he kind of shares the. So he showed like it's working, and then the other companies just like surf the wave up
No,
in the market.
I think that's not what happened. It's because if Tesla releases that, maybe they can take Uber and Lyft out of the market, right? So if
Mm.
that proves to be just a prediction that is not going to happen anytime soon, which is like basically the history of Tesla predicting, projecting, and promising things, then investors said, okay, no, I'm going to invest more in Uber because in a short term I have more profitability, right? I guess that was.
Yeah. And in Uber, actually, it's kind of it's super controversial too, because nowadays they have like a lot of jobs related to cabs, So you have your car, you put it, you take people and bring it to places. And now if they release an autonomous taxi, or they will replace all the drivers, how many jobs we're gonna lose, like in this transition, So this is a really concerning issue that we need to think about it.
Yeah, I have some numbers here in relation to that. So the self-driving trucks could cut operational costs by up to 45%, right? So it's almost like half uh, that
Of the
companies will
cost of
basically,
people.
yeah, it will cut in cost like half, right? Which is insane. But the downside is that 5 million jobs will be on the line because of that, which is 3% of the entire US workforce. If there's, if they automate trucks with self-driving trucks, that is the impact. So it's just not about just trucks and taxis, right? Amazon is already ahead in the electric vehicle game with over 10,000 delivery vans from Rivian, which is another company that it operates across US. And they're planning to expand by 2030 to have 100,000 electric vans. If they start automating that to replacing, or as far as I know, if they are electric cars, they can have a software update and become autonomous. That transition can impact 280,000 drivers. It's
It's
a lot of
crazy.
it's a lot of numbers. Yeah, it's insane. It's
Yeah. And you were only talking about the US, So can you think about if you expand to the world, how many people will be affected by that? In Brazil, most of the logistics are made by trucks. So if you switch that, that'll be a big problem, because it's already a problem if you think about the transition between trucks and trains. So that's a big discussion about that. How many jobs we're losing with that? So if you do that with autonomous cars and then your autonomous trucks, then it's gonna impact many people.
Yeah, just autonomous driving can have a major impact in the economy globally. So nobody's actually discussing that impact and what happens with all these people that will be impacted. Are they going to be out of the job market? Will they have to upskill themselves, learn something else? Like we've been discussing this in the podcast a couple of episodes ago, that there's a urgent need for training, especially for AI, to understand these technologies, to understand how can you use it, because you might just suddenly lose a job for an automation, and then you will.
Yeah.
It's a good advice to look into and learn how to understand this, how these technologies work, because the near future will be all about that. Yeah. Because just to summarize, in the end, the Cybercab unveiling felt like classic Elon Musk, big promise and futuristic visions, and but short on practical details. So
Yeah.
let's see how it goes in the next couple of months and see what is the impact. But I'm not expecting any autonomous robots anytime soon.
Yeah, but one thing, it's always he knows what to sell. So the event was quite like visually, it was super nice, like to see it. So he knows how to impress people, to create a buzz on the social media. So I feel that in these terms, like I think he did a good job, even though it's not fully and completely working all the products that he's selling. So let's see what's next. As I said, like it's a classical Elon Musk thing, you know.
Yeah, this was basically like a summary of what happened in the event and our thoughts on it. So we reached the end of our episode. If you're interested in how AI is evolving and how you can introduce it in your life and in your work, subscribe to the podcast in your favorite podcast service and follow us for more. If you have any questions for us, you can reach out to us at hello@humanAIXP.com or connect with us on Instagram at humanAIXP. Thanks for listening. See you next week.